A very wonderful day, viewers out there. Welcome to the program Perspective on ITV. My name is Chuka Onghai. Perspective, I will look on a variety of issues with profiling solutions. Last week we were here on the program. This week we are back. On this week's episode, we shall examine the role of genetically engineered foods and their role in bringing about food sufficiency for Nigerians. As we face food security, creating more opportunities as well as optimizing the input needed to make agriculture more productive for farmers cannot be overemphasized. We had an interview with an agricultural scientist, Dr. Rose Gidado. Let's bring you that interview. When we come back, we'll be wrapping up the program.
The capacity we have in this area, that's the area of using modern biotechnology. And when you're talking about modern biotechnology, you're talking about genetic modification, gene editing, and so on and so forth. So the capacity we have on ground is actually much. There are so many institutions that are involved in modern biotechnology practice. We have the National Root Crops Research Institute, OMODIKE. They are already working on a cassava that is both virus resistant and also has enhanced, levels of iron and zinc. And we know how important iron and zinc are, especially when it comes to our immune systems, boosting immune systems, especially in assisting one. Zinc is very helpful in building your immune system to be able to even resist the COVID-19 that is ravaging everywhere in the world. If you take zinc every day, you are likely to, to stay away, from contacting COVID-19. And iron, of course, we know is for, especially when it comes to preventing anemia, and a lot of other things, especially in children. So the cassava over there is undergoing confinement trial, field confinement trial at OMODIKE. It's at that level, and very soon they would go into multi-locational trials, and NABDA is being penciled down as one of the institutions that multi-locational trial will take place in. Then we also have IAR Zaria, the Institute for Agricultural Research Zaria. They have already released, in collaboration with partners, released the cotton, the BT cotton, and then the cowpea that our farmers are enjoying, the BT cotton that our farmers are enjoying. So the capacity is already there, is in place. And then now they are also working on, a Cry2AB, a Cry2AB cowpea. The cowpea that will have that the gene will be strengthened. That's the Bacillus thuringiensis gene. The one that has been released is just a single gene. But for it to maybe last longer, the Cry2AB makes it very difficult for the insects to grow resistance to that. So it's also ongoing. And then the telomerase. Telomerase is a maize that has also been developed to be drought tolerant, and then at the same time insect resistant. And the two insects are the fall armyworm and also the stem borer. So the two stem borer and fall armyworm have been devastating the farmers' fields, for quite some time. If you go, they can lose up to 80% or 90%, due to the infestation of those insects. And so now we're going to have a maize that is fall armyworm resistant, stem borer resistant, and as well drought tolerant. So maize, the drought is also one thing that affects maize cultivation. So but with this now, that will not be there again. It's already been approved for environmental release. It means that farmers can have it at adoption level, trial level. That's for them to establish these plots. They'll just establish small plots, just for possible adoption. They'll be given little quantities, maybe in about 10 or 15 states. Farmers will be handpicked, few farmers randomly, and be given it to establish demonstration. It's just for demonstration plots on their fields. And once they're given that, maybe that will go on for 2 years. It's like a national performance trial. That is the stage we're going to go into now for the teller maize, so that the farmer will plant it side by side with his own maize, and at the end of the harvest he will be able to know if this teller maize is good for him, is better than what he has for possible adoption. The farmer is a practical person. You don't have to tell him. It's not stories. They don't listen to stories, but they want it, to experience it practically before they drop what they have. And we're not saying they should even drop what they have, but even during the commercialization, when they agree that yes, we want it, we like it, and is approved for commercial use, they could still be, the farming, the cultivation of BT crops usually comes along with the non-BTs. You have to plant, especially the ones that have been developed for insect resistance. You have to plant some, maybe 10%, 20% of your conventional crop, so that the pressure of insects will not be too much on the BT crops. It's this is like a plan, not to allow the insects to grow resistance to it. If you plant only your BT crops, these insects like the fall armyworm and the stem borer, this is also like their food. It's a food to them. You plant, and if they are not able to eat it, they will try to change. They will try to mutate. But if you plant the non-BT crops around, the insects, once they come to the BT crops and they cannot, it repels them. It doesn't really kill them. I've never seen a dead insect on those BT crops. So it's like there's something, either a smell or what, or maybe when you touch it, it's bitter, somehow. So, and once they still come and they feel the same, so they will try to mutate. But if there are non-BT crops around it, they will go back to the BT crops and then be able to eat that one. So the pressure will not be much on. So the pressure will not be much on the BT crops. Most countries, that's how they do it. It's either you mix your seeds, the seeds you have, you mix them non-BT 10% or 20% of it and plant, or you plant your BT and then plant the non-BT, on the periphery like that, so that everything will be fine. So it works like that. So Zaria is also bringing out the teller maize, that means 3 crops, and then Umudike is bringing out the Vaca plus cassava for the southern part of Nigeria, because their staple over there is cassava, and they're all carbohydrate based food, either the maize or the cassava or the sorghum or whatever. They're all cereal based, starch based, and carbohydrate based. So then what else? We have the rice. Rice is coming up also, but still under research. The research is not yet concluded. The rice is going to be also drought tolerant, nitrogen use efficient. When you say nitrogen use efficient, maybe a farmer may require maybe just 1 or 2 bags per hectare or so. I'm just making an estimate, but it's not really, I'm just making an estimate. Maybe 1 or 2 bags. If he was using like 5 bags per hectare, he could now use 2 bags, something like that. So that is nitrogen efficient, because it's been developed in such a way that it will require just little fertilizer or little nitrogen for it to do well. And then salt tolerant as well. That rice has 3 traits. There is salt tolerance, there is drought tolerance, there is salt tolerance. So 3 in 1. So, and then many others are coming on board, those genes into our commercial lead varieties of soybeans in Nigeria. You know that soybean is also one of the crops that fixes nitrogen to the soil. So when you plant soybeans, it requires less fertilizer, not much, because it fixes nitrogen. So what it may require more of phosphorus, So when you plant it, it's the grasses around, because it fixes nitrogen, so it gets choked up with so many weeds, around it, and that weediness is a problem to the farmer. It prevents the farmer from getting the required amount of yield that he desires to have. So it is labor intensive as well, because you have to weed it. I know what weeding, the labor intensiveness and all, and most of our farmers are actually old and all. So that's why scientists developed it to be herbicide tolerant, meaning that it's going to be selective. When you spray the glyphosate chemical, your plant will die, but your soybean will stand erect, because you have actually worked on the gene, so that the gene can tolerate the herbicide that you're going to use, especially the herbicide. That's the Roundup. And the Roundup is a herbicide that farmers have been used to. It's been used for years, on crops and wards, and is actually not, as people say, that it causes cancer, that it's carcinogenic, it's this and that. It's not really that. It's the safest herbicide. Of course, it's been worked upon and all. So that herbicide tolerance, tolerance is actually for more yield, to reduce, drowsiness in farming soybeans. And then at the same time, when you spray, we call it non-tillage, because as you're spraying, you're killing your weeds, but your crop is erect. So those weeds, they go down, they die, and they trap the nitrogen, from the soil. They trap it, and then it doesn't get to the atmosphere. Once the atmosphere has so much carbon dioxide, it traps carbon and not like nitrogen. It's carbon dioxide gets trapped, and then the nutrients too are retained. And you're not going to use hoe again. You're not going to hoe it or weed it. Your weeding has been taken care of, and so nutrients are there intact, because weeding exposes nutrients, exposes them to erosion when it rains and they get washed away. So, but this one, they're trapped, it's okay, and then they serve as a base to your crop. So that no tillage is actually good. And then carbon dioxide is not exposed to the atmosphere, because when you have too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, that's where all these global warming things, carbon emission comes in and all those things. But it prevents, so it has a lot of advantages, of course, to the farmer. In addition to the high yield, if your crop is sharing nutrients with weeds around, your crop will not do well, and so the yield is affected. But in this case, once you have your soybeans herbicide tolerance, it takes care of so many other challenges that farmers have been facing. So that's what we're working on. um, we've done so many other preliminary things, because when we received the seeds, we had to confirm that yes, these seeds are transgenic, they have the gene in them. So we did proof of concept. So we had to test for the efficacy. We had to multiply the seeds first of all, and then we planted, and then we had to expose the seeds to different levels of that herbicide, the glyphosate. We planted them along with our own Nigerian varieties that farmers are used to, or the industries too, because you have to work in between. Soybeans is an industrial crop, the industries use it a lot, the poultry, the what. So when you're working to improve, a crop, you have to partner with the industries as well, apart from the farmers, because the industries provide you know market for the farmers. You have to look at the market value and all those things, because if the farmer gets high yield and he's not able to like sell it and get money, he will not go back to it. So you have to put the two together. The farmer has to produce what the industry wants, because the industries have their own requirement. So that's what we're trying to do. That's why we have to um, transfer the genes to our own farmers preferred varieties in Nigeria, and also the industries too are taken into account. The poultry industry may have its own requirements, and then the confectionery too, they will have their own. So different levels. So we have so many. The gene pool anyway is wide, so many varieties and what. So this is what is happening, in a nutshell. So many crops will be coming on board. Yes, we have the capacity, but I can't say we have enough. We're still developing the capacity, because each crop has its own its own challenges that you have to. And then we can also use the same technology to take care of all the indigenous crops that we have, our own indigenous crops, the challenges they are facing, the challenges that cannot be addressed by the conventional technology, things like the hybridization and other ones. So it's actually an intervention tool. I always say that it's not for every challenge. Any challenge that can be addressed conventionally, we don't have to apply genetic modification. We don't have to go that far. It's a high technology. It's an intervention tool. It's for us. It's actually to contribute to food security that we already have, and take us to that level that we desire to have. That's food security, where no child goes to bed hungry in Africa and in Nigeria. For sure, it gives you more. It gives you more. But it gives you more because of that problem the technology is taking care of. It's not as if it's for productivity also. No, just that problem. Once that problem that's there is addressed, your copy can now do well and have that yield that you desire to have, and that is it. So, and it goes with any other crop that you want to improve, that that but things like hybridization, like the hybrid technology and what, that one hybrid technology is actually for size increments also. Most times when you see big mangoes, what, it's for yield size increments. So that one, that they are hybrids, but people mistaking the hybrids for. But with the hybrid technology, you can actually you bring, like, you have a crop, that's looking robust, looking fine. What, there must be something that's making it like that. But I have my own that's not okay. But I want my own to be like your own, and I'll crossbreed them, and that's it. Then my own will begin to look like you know yours. So it must be the hybrid technology works only within species. I can do from one good maize to another maize, from maize to maize, one variety to the other. But I can't cross from maize to, I cannot cross that boundary. But genetic modification makes you to achieve what is not achievable. Do you understand? It's interspecies. I can take a gene from sorghum and, you know, to maize, something like that. So that means it widens the gene pool and all those things. So the, like, in terms of what we want from government, yeah, increasing enabling environment is actually good, giving us that enabling environment for technology to thrive well and all those things is good, because technology adds value to whatever you're doing. It makes it faster, it adds value. When you talk in terms of technology, technology is is vast, is big, is ambiguous. It means so many, because there are different types of technology. So when you're talking about the IT aspect, the IT aspect too is also part of the farming, like using the satellites, using the words. It's a combination of all anyway. Using the satellite system, especially in farming. I have, like, let me give you an example. If I have a large farm, it enables commercialization, brings about, make things faster for you and lessens your time and all. If I have 400 hectares of maize farm and I don't have binoculars, I can say, or the eye of an eagle for me to know what is happening in the midst of that farm. But with that imagery, satellite imagery and what, maybe I have an app on my phone, you know, I can see, it will tell me that there's something happening in the midst of the farm. And maybe there's an invasion by insects. So that enables me to know, you know, quickly act on it. But without that, I will not know until the whole farm is invaded. So, so when we create those enabling environment for, good for technology usage in not just agriculture but also in other aspects, sectors of the economy, it will actually help so much. I tell you, not just different technologies, internet of things, the information tech is useful everywhere. The mechanization makes it possible for farmers to engage in commercial farming, because without that we can't make that money that we want to make. We can't make agriculture a business. And with the diversification, the technology makes it easier for us, faster for us. So I really in support, I'm really in support of that bill that will give us that enabling environment to thrive. But then at the same time, while we're talking about that, the technology needs electricity. So we need those basic, necessities. Electricity is, an infrastructure that we should not joke with. Whatever it can take Nigeria, you know, to attain that 24 hours electricity that small countries are already having. Countries like Ghana and Kenya, I mean, it's very very basic, and it will help, and it will change our narratives, it will change our stories, because now in Nigeria cost of doing business is very expensive, because you have to, diesel is even like not even affordable now. But if we have that electricity alone can solve a lot of problem across board. School fees will all go down, and I mean it will just, it will take care of most things, and everything, all prices of things will come down, because now I have to operate like I have a hotel or I have a business center, even just simple cyber cafe. I'm sure now cost of printing, um you know cost of photocopying and what, everything has gone up. Because once diesel goes up or petrol, that's it. Everything doubles in the markets, in our markets, in what, everywhere, in your house. You know, you have to spend a lot of money, and that is what is really killing us. The electricity, water. Yeah, without electricity, you can't even have that in the water. Electricity is just, let's just get that one and see how Nigeria will be transformed. Even the everybody would benefit from that. That's electricity should be whatever it will take us, because we have all the resources, the natural resources to do that are there. We can use all different forms, the renewable energy side, generating. We have a lot of waste, you know, organic waste, kitchen waste, all those things. Put them together, you know, do different parts, and we will have even our cooking gases. We can use the waste from our septic tanks in our houses to generate, cooking gas in our homes. There are so many. We can actually do a lot, but we need that enabling environment. We need it.
Welcome back from that section with Dr. Rose Gidado. I hope we've been enlightened on how genetically engineered food can play a major role in bringing about food sufficiencies for Nigerians. That's all we'll be taking on the program. Join us same time next week. Until then, for me, I'm Chuka Onghai, and I'm bye for now.